On today's Hot Sheet, I'm discussing the decline in home values from last year, where they are, the hidden costs of home ownership currently, and foreclosure activity. How much has it gone up year over year? Today is Monday, November 17, 2025. I am Byron Lazine, and the Hot Sheet starts now. Live from Naples, Florida. Feels really good to say that. The last, 6 weeks, I've been all over and very little time here in the home base studio. It's a pleasure to be with you wherever you may be tuning in from. Let me know in the live chat which market today you are tuning in from. All right. Love doing this show with you guys. We got a full week of Hot Sheet before a week off next week with the Thanksgiving week. It's a week and a half from Thanksgiving, if you can believe that. Just an unbelievable fast calendar, and this year's closing out. You're putting numbers on the board as a real estate professional for next year. And here we go. Where are we at right now on prices? We don't have the Altos research today that we usually have on inventory, so hopefully we'll have that tomorrow. Usually we kick off the week with that. We don't have that here today, but we do have a press release from Zillow released today. Team put this together pretty quickly, and this is a report on home values over the past year. And while we've seen, on the macro, home prices nudge up just a touch, really moving sideways on national home prices. We now have a report from Zillow, press release just made this morning, that 53% of U.S. home prices, U.S. home values lost value in the past year. This is the most since 2012. Boy, I remember 2012. I mean, that felt, that was the double bottoming of my market, 2012. And it was a really tough time. So this being the most home value lost since 2012, is definitely something to think about. Most home values have declined in value from their peak. Okay, there's some pockets in like the Northeast that haven't, but if the peak was 22 or 23, most values have declined. The average drawdown is 9.7% from peak. Just 4.1% of homes have lost value since their last sale. That's a smaller share than before the pandemic. Home values upper medium of 67% since last sale nationwide. Okay, so there you go. Here's the areas where these values are declining the most, according to this Zillow analysis. Drop this into school, obviously, for you, for BAMX members. Okay, so here's the metros with the greatest share of homes that lost value since last year. So this is the share of homes that have lost value in a particular metro area. Portland, 81% of homes are losing value. Denver, 91% of homes losing value. You see Jacksonville, Orlando, and Tampa all in the 85% range. 90% in Austin, Dallas, 87%, San Antonio, 86%. 87% of homes in Phoenix have lost value since last year, and so on and so forth, with Vegas, Sacramento, and San Francisco making the list. These 10 metro areas all are up over 80%, and then a couple there at 90%. So 4% of homes have lost value since their last sale. Okay, so they're not selling. It's not like the seller is taking a loss. Okay. Very few percent of these homes have lost value since they purchased. Okay. What we're seeing is they've lost value, paper value, right? Like I always say that about equity. Equity is worthless unless you're using it for something. Unless you're pulling that money out and using it for something or selling the home and maximizing the equity through a sale into dollars in the bank. Other than that, equity is just, I mean, it might be something cute to talk about at a cocktail party, but it serves nobody any good. If every single homeowner put their home on the market, well, how much equity would you have then? Now, I know that's an extreme example and that doesn't happen in a market, but your equity is only worth something if you're utilizing it. Okay. Your equity doesn't bring you revenue into your daily life. So they've lost paper equity is theoretically here kind of what the values are that have declined, the loss for those homeowners. National home value appreciation has been flat over the past year, according to Zillow's number. That average hides peaks and valleys by region, metros and neighborhoods, and all the way down to the individual property. Remember, this is a micro game we're playing. This is hyper local. When you look at what's happening on the macro level, prices moving sideways, basically flat. The Northeast is up while Southwest Florida, where I sit here today, is down. And there are certain neighborhoods in communities where I'm sitting here today in Southwest Florida that are doing much worse than others. Okay. And so understanding the dynamics of each neighborhood and each community within your own metro area is really important. October, 53% of homes lost value over the past year. Now, this measurement Zillow's using is based on this estimate. So take that for what you will. If you're, emotionally triggered by the word Zestimate, then maybe you throw this whole thing out. Zestimate's an AVM. It's been a great tool for, really smart agents to leverage as a conversation starter with homeowners. An emotional homeowner about a Zestimate is somebody I can help. They're vested into this for a reason. Somebody who doesn't give a crap about what their Zestimate is and doesn't give a crap about what anything is as it relates to the real estate market is somebody who's not moving. They're just staying put. Can't help them. Okay. Homeowners may feel rattled when they see their Zestimate drop, and it's more common in today's cooler market environment than in recent years, but relatively few sellers are selling at a loss. We saw that with the 4%. This is a senior economic researcher at Zillow. Home values surged the past 6 years, and the vast majority of homeowners still have significant equity. So that there's still a cushion for those homeowners that would want to go onto the market, and those that are going onto the market. So what Zillow claims is, quote, we are seeing a normalization, not a crash. Okay, really important to understand the difference between the two. Probably a lot easier for, those of us that went through 2012 and those type of years. Is the biggest, theoretical equity drop on paper since 2012. But this is much different than what happened in 2012. Okay, here are the share of homes that lost value year over year, 53% in the US. Again, just looking at some of the other locations of note, 21% of homes lost value year over year in New York, 78% in LA, 23% in Chicago. You've got 43% in DC, 26% in Philly. So the Northeast is a much smaller percentage of homes are dropping in this theoretical value. Miami at 75%, Atlanta at 70%, Boston at 20%. So this does show the difference between what's going on in some of the northern states, some of the Midwest, some of the Northeast versus the Sun Belt states, where there's, a huge bump in inventory. There's a greater pressure on price in those markets versus the markets where the inventory is lacking. San Diego, 77%. Okay. You look at Minneapolis, it's only 55%. Detroit, it's only 38%. Baltimore, it's only 33%. St. Louis is only 38%. Orlando, again, 85%. Charlotte, creeping up to 56%. Pittsburgh, 48%. Cincinnati, 29%. Kansas City, 46%. Columbus, 40%. So it's kind of like you can draw a line through the middle of the country, and some of these southern western metros, they've got a much more significant downward price pressure versus northern and northeast states. Okay. So there you go. 53% of U.S. homes lost value over the past year. It's the most since 2012, but only 4% of sellers are actually losing money from their last sale. Okay. And those are going to be those quick sales. We know the homeowner tenure continues to rise during, during what we're faced with affordability. All right. Cost of home ownership is another thing that's impacting affordability. This one, to me, not enough agents talk about this. I don't think that's any of us here today, but not enough real estate professionals talk about the cost of home ownership, the hidden costs of home ownership. Now, rule of thumb that I've always used, and we'll dig into this Zillow report here. Rule of thumb that I've always used is 1% to 3% of the home value, depending on, kind of the area and the size of the home and, kind of some of the feature, some of the things that have been put in. 1% to 3% of what I call homeowner maintenance needs to be put back into the home. These aren't improvements. Okay. 1% to 3% of the home's value is what you invest back into the home to maintain its current value. These are just things like, sealing the driveway every year, 2 years, whenever it needs to be sealed. These are things like maintaining the AC equipment, the HVAC, and your heating equipment. Okay, these are things like, if you got wooden columns on your front porch, having those painted every 3 to 5 years so that you don't have a mess and a disaster on your hands, and it costs you even more because somebody's got to do more work to get that back. Okay, the maintenance, the 1% to 3% of maintenance, of maintaining the home, doesn't increase value, it maintains value. These are hidden costs of home ownership. These are the costs that not enough buyers actually think about it. Now, I get it. It makes homes even seem more unaffordable. But it's the reality of what it takes to have, pride of ownership is one thing, but maintaining the value so that when you do need to sell, you're not behind the eight ball. The hidden costs of home ownership right now have topped $16,000 a year. Okay, that makes sense because if we're using my number of 1% to 3%, and the average home is, $400,000, 3% right there is $12,000. Okay, so this is a little bit higher than the 3%. Okay, so Zillow partnered with Thumbtack Analysis to put out this report, and so some of the hidden costs that they've included, which increase that 1% to 3% rule of thumb that I typically go off of, on the hidden costs of home ownership. And this might be a good little graphic to send to some of your buyer clients. Drop it inside of BAMX for you to easily download. The $16,000 they've got made up in property tax and homeowner insurance. So the average cost of maintenance, they have at $10,900. Okay, so that gets closer to that 1% to 3% that I'm talking about. The $11,000, just the cost of maintenance on the home, right? Like not letting your home go to shit with. Sorry, usually don't curse, but we are live, so I guess that happened. Not letting your home go to crap with landscaping and those types of things. So $11,000 on the average cost of maintenance. Homeowners insurance $2,000. This continues to rise. This continues to bump up the hidden costs of home ownership and property taxes. The more the values continue to increase, the more these property taxes are going to continue to increase. Okay, so coastal metros feel the sharpest squeeze right now. Okay, so where are these hidden costs going up the most? It's these northeast coastal towns. It's South Florida. It's the coastal markets in the Pacific, North Pacific West, and in California. It's already expensive coastal markets that these hidden costs are even higher. Think about the homeowners insurance and the the property taxes in these markets. Homeowners in New York City pay an average of 24,000 plus per year, while those in San Francisco pay about 23,000, and in Boston about 21,000. These amounts come on top of some of the highest mortgage payments in the country, putting additional strain on the nation's largest metro areas. The hidden costs of homeownership by city. Taking a look at that, you can add Seattle and Miami to the list of very high hidden costs. Insurance is outpacing incomes. The rise of insurance is moving up faster than incomes. Nationwide average premiums have increased 48% since early 2020, and now total just over $2,000 per year. Miami pays an average of $4,600, 72% increase in 5 years. Similar jumps across all of Florida. 72% jump up in Jacksonville, 69% in Tampa, 68% in Orlando. New Orleans is high, Sacramento's high, Atlanta's high, Riverside, Florida. These are all high areas for insurance costs. And in the insurance and the taxes and the maintenance, there's an argument that all of them continue to move up. And, this will undoubtedly, as inventory rises, be one of the catalysts for more downward pressure on prices. The market can only handle so much. A homeowner can only handle so much of these costs. And the hidden cost of home ownership is something that every buyer should know clearly about before getting into home ownership. It's a very expensive deal. That's one of the benefits to being a renter. Certainly right now where renting is, less expensive than owning, these costs, taxes, and insurance don't fall on you. And majority of those maintenance costs don't either. All right. U.S. foreclosure posting the 8th straight month of year-over-year increases. Let's dig into this and see where this kind of sits. This is the October U.S. foreclosure report from Adam, which shows that there were 36,700 plus U.S. properties with foreclosure filings, default notices, scheduled auctions, or bank repossessions. Okay, that's up 3% from a month ago and 19% from a year ago. So the activity continues this upward trend throughout October. It's the 8th straight month of year-over-year increases. Starts rose nearly 20%, while completed foreclosures were up 32% from last year. This is the CEO of Adam Research. Even with these increases, activity remains well below historic highs. So we're continuing to see increases off of, a time period in COVID, and even when COVID was over, when foreclosures were not taking place. And so we're continuing to bounce off of zero, but we're still well below, normal numbers. Okay. So we're still trending towards historical low numbers. These year-over-year, month-over-month increases seem significant. We're getting back to normal. We're getting back to healthy. There is a healthy level of foreclosures that have to take shape because there are buyers that don't look at hidden costs of buying real estate, get into it, get into some financial trouble, and ultimately can't find their way out of it. Right now, there's a lot of sellers that can find their way out of financial trouble because of the equity that's built up that we talked about, obviously, earlier. States with the worst foreclosure rates: Florida, South Carolina, and Illinois. All right, 1 in every 38 U.S. units had a foreclosure filing, but in Florida, that's 1 out of every 1,800. In South Carolina, it's 1 out of every 2,000. And in Illinois, it's 1 out of every 2,500. So beating that national number. Delaware, also on the list, 1 out of 2,700 homes have a foreclosure filing. In Nevada, 1 in every 2,700 as well. Okay. With populations of 1 million or more, Tampa Bay posted the highest foreclosure rate in October 2025. And that's 1 out of every 1,300. So if you're looking at a metro high foreclosure, which brings in investors an opportunity, That'd be Tampa, one out of every, almost 1,400. This is a temporary spike caused by the resumption of data collection in Hillsborough County, which added backlogged records and is expected to normalize in November. Okay, so you also have a little bit of catch up on data, which is showing a little bit of a higher number. Foreclosure starts now. Where are these starts, which could be a future indicator, increasing? Those are the highest in Florida, Texas, and California. Okay. Lenders started the foreclosure process. I mean, these are also the most populous states, right? Foreclosure process on 25,000 U.S. properties in October, up 6% from last month and 20% from a year ago. States that had the greatest number of foreclosure starts: Florida, 4,100, Texas, 3,000, California, 2,600, Illinois, and New York were next. They also have the most homes, the most people. Okay, so if we're looking at that, we got to take that into consideration. Foreclosure completions. These are the ones that I think are the most interesting. Where were the completions? People actually getting foreclosed on, turning into an REO. Okay. It's a 2% increase from last month and 32% increase from the last year. Greatest number of REOs: Texas, California, Florida, Pennsylvania, and Illinois. And look at these October numbers. I mean, these are just, while they're increases, this is what we're talking about with the historical lows. These are very low numbers. 358 foreclosures in Texas, 336 in California, 243 in Florida. Okay, I mean that's nothing. Okay, it's closer to zero than it is 1,000. Pennsylvania 205, Illinois 187. So these are not concerning numbers. These without these numbers, it's the market. It needs to go through some of this. This is a normal process in the market. And so these numbers are normalizing. They're still not normal yet. So the expectation of somebody, hey, what's going on with these foreclosures increase? I expect them to continue to go up until they get to normal. Hey, that's really smart that you're taking a look at that. And I know you saw some type of a headline, and it's smart to be thinking about this because it's a future indicator of the market. Here's what we're expecting. We're expecting these numbers to go up until they hit normal. We're not even at a normal level yet. Okay, so these are the things that I think our customers need to understand, that this number should go up. I expect it to go up. And I expect it to continue to go up until it hits normal levels, which we're still not even at. All right, 10-year coming into the week here at 4.137. This is kind of on the lower end of the last 6 months. Even the lower side, if you kind of zoom out year to date, we've hit obviously lower numbers, even less than 4% here in the last couple of months. We're not there right now. 30-year fixed ended the week last week at 6.38. We saw the Freddie Mac 30-year fixed weekly come in at 6.24. So still trending in and above that 6.25 range on the 30-year fixed weekly. CME Group has kind of flipped. Only a 40% chance now that we'll see a December cut. Saw Jerome Powell's comments last week, continuing to kill any momentum on a potential cut. Said he can't wrap his mind around it right now. The market obviously has reacted to that. Only a 42% chance now that there'll be a cut. And, if we look at poly markets, a little bit more favorable, kind of similar, 45% chance that there'll be a 25 basis point cut and a 53% chance that there'll be no change. So the December cut now coming into question. A lot of data, though, between now and the December meeting. Okay, we're going to get a ton of data even this week. Okay, we're going to get I'm just kind of looking at my back end here, hot sheet show notes, and here's some of the data that we're going to get this week. We're going to get home builder sentiment. We're going to get mortgage applications. We're going to get minutes from the last Fed meeting. We're going to get unemployment finally, weekly unemployment. Now that the shutdown is over, we're going to get employment situation report for September. Now that the shutdown's over, we're going to get existing home sales this week. So there's a ton of data coming out this week that we're going to need to pay attention to, and that the Fed's going to be paying attention to. Certainly those employment numbers, those numbers can tell a lot about what the Fed might do in December. And we'll be taking a look at all of that as we move forward throughout the week. All right. Investors are taking a look at these markets in particular, as well as buyers who are finding opportunities in the market to use cash as opposed to their mortgage. Top 10 housing markets for cash offers, according to Zudilio. Every BAMX member gets access to the Zudilio platform, $2,400 savings. You get that completely free. And here are the top 10 markets for cash offers over the past week: Atlanta, Vegas, Houston, Miami, Dallas, Denver, St. Pete. St. Pete, obviously a Tampa market, and we saw the highest level of foreclosures happening in that metro. You've got cash moving in, seeing the opportunity. San Antonio, Colorado Springs, and San Diego. It's your top 10 cash offer markets for the last week. All right, there's your hot sheet here to kick off this week. I'll be with you guys all week. Really looking forward to that. BAMX members, tomorrow we've got our role play mastermind happening. Myself, Tom Toole, and Lisa Chinati. Tomorrow, right before the hot sheet, 9 a.m. Eastern. If you want the conversations that are working right now to help you close and convert at a higher level, jump into BAMX. You can test BAMX out for free for the next 7 days. Go to school.com/BAMX and jump into the role play mastermind with us tomorrow. Also happening this week, we've got a public webinar. So this is open to everybody. The one-page business plan for your best year ever. Myself and Sharon Srivatsa on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific time. This is your get-rich plan. If you are still tweaking and looking at your 2026 business plan, this exercise is going to help you unlock how to put that thing together, be done, and move forward. So Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, use the link down below to sign up for that. Absolutely free for all. All right. There's your hot sheet. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Until then, toodaloo.